Greetings, land of the brave and beyond, and a very warm welcome to today's media briefing, coming to you live from the Government Information Center here in the heart of the nation's capital, Windhoek. For this morning, I will be your host, Heleni Philippus Hamunyela. To our viewers and listeners tuned in, this morning's briefing centers around the second Namibia EU Business Forum, a reflection of continued collaboration between the government of the Republic of Namibia and the European Union's efforts to strengthen trade relations and unlock investment opportunities. And I am therefore delighted to be joined by Mr. Aser Nashikaku, Acting Executive Director in the Ministry of International Relations and Trade, as well as Her Excellency Anna Beatrice Martens, Ambassador of the European Union to Namibia. Acting ED and Your Excellency, good morning and welcome to this morning's media briefing. Good morning. All right. I would also like to recognize the presence of the Executive Director, at the National Planning Commission, Mr. Iben Nashandi, as well as the Acting CEO of NIPDB, Ms. Jessica Hawanga, and both delegations accompanying our esteemed guests for this morning. Now, it will be amiss of me if I don't recognize then the members of the media here present this morning. Welcome. Before we proceed with this morning's briefing, ladies and gentlemen, kindly take note of the following house rules. All mobiles are to be set on complete silence for the duration of this briefing. Secondly, following the briefing, should you require further clarity on matters arising from statement that will be read here this morning, you are encouraged to step closer to the podium. Start by briefly introducing yourself as well as the media house you represent, and then pose your questions to our guests. We will then proceed to address your questions in turn. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, I now hand over the floor to the Acting ED of MIRT, Mr. Aser Nashikaku, to brief the nation as well as Her Excellency.
Thank you very much, Director of Proceedings. Let me recognize His Excellency Ambassador Anna Beatrice Martens. Let me also recognize Mr. Iben Nashandi, the Executive Director in the Ministry of National Planning Commission, Madam Jessica Hawanga, the Chief Executive Officer of the Namibia Investment Promotion and Development Board. Let me recognize the senior government officials, distinguished colleagues, most importantly, members of the media. Good morning. We are gathering here today in order to provide information about the upcoming Namibia EU Business Forum. So the Ministry of International Relations and Trade is therefore happy to announce that Namibia will host the second Namibia EU Business Forum, scheduled to take place from 12 to 13 May 2026 in Windhoek, Namibia. This business forum will build on the inaugural business forum, which was held in Brussels in 2023. This year's forum will be held under the theme towards stronger, greener, and more diversified economies, catalyzing business and trade opportunity between the EU and Namibia. This business forum will mark an important milestone in the deepening of Namibia's strategic partnership with the European Union, moving towards a concrete cooperation in trade and investment, as well as industrial development. It will also reflect our shared commitment to advancing green industrialization, strengthening resilient value chains, promoting sustainable and inclusive economic growth. Moreover, it will also serve as a high-level platform to consolidate our diplomatic relations, strengthen trade under the SADC-EU Economic Partnership Agreement, and unlock new avenues for investment and private sector collaboration, particularly through the development of regional and global value chains. Ladies and gentlemen, the Business Forum is expected to bring together approximately 400 high-level participants, including government representatives, private sector leaders, investors, development finance institutions, and policymakers from both Namibia and the European Union. It will also provide for the public to follow the proceedings across digital platforms. This year, the Business Forum will focus on 5 strategic sectors, such as green hydrogen and renewable energy, critical raw materials, agribusiness, cultural and creative industries, and automotive industry. Now, these sectors is aligned well with Namibia's national development priorities under the National Development Plan 6 and are critical for driving economic transformation, value addition, and employment creation. In particular, Namibia's partnership with the European Union is in green hydrogen stand at the forefront of this transformation, positioning Namibia as a future hub for green energy. In this context, strategic infrastructure such as the ports of Walvis Bay and Lüderitz are poised to play a pivotal role as emerging logistics and industrial hubs. These ports offer Namibia a unique opportunity to enhance trade facilitation, support the development of regional and global value chains, and position the country as a gateway for trade and investment into the Southern African region. The Business Forum will also feature cross-cutting areas, such as skill developments, where masterclasses and seminars will be offered to strengthen private sector capacity. This specific master plan session will be held on 11 May 2026, and it will cover rules of origin and cumulation as applied under the SADC-EU EPA, the European Union as a regulatory frameworks, including what we call the CBAM and the UDR regulations, opportunity-driven skills and vocational education, and training focus on opportunity-driven approach, investment opportunities under the EU Global Gateway Initiative. Another key highlight of the Business Forum really will be a presentation of 30 bankable Namibian projects to potential investors aimed at bringing or bridging the gap between opportunity and investment. Apart from the dialogue, this Business Forum will also be action-orientated, aimed at catalyzing partnership, unlocking financings, and accelerating investment. We therefore encourage investors, business leaders, and relevant stakeholders from both Namibia and the European Union to participate in this important platform and to tap into these particular opportunities. Lastly, let me inform the media that this particular forum as well, the Vice President of Namibia, Her Excellency Lucia Wetboy, will attend this event, accompanied by the ministers and senior officials. And Namibia will warmly welcome the participation of the EU Commissioner and her delegation at this particular business forum. Now, this high-level engagement reflects the strength of our bilateral relations and underscores the European Union's commitment in supporting the Namibia's development trajectory. With this, I thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Acting ED. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. I now hand over the floor to Her Excellency Anna Beatrice Martins to brief the nation, to read her statement, of course. Over to you, Your Excellency.
Thank you so much, Director of Ceremonies. Good morning again, and let me also acknowledge the presence here next to me of Acting Executive Director of MIRT, Mr. Asena Shikaku, as well as of the Executive Director of NPC, Mr. Iben Oshandi, and the CEO of NIPDB, Mrs. Jessica Hawanga, esteemed members of media, colleagues. A real pleasure to be here at this media event, and a tremendous pleasure also to be here to announce together with MIRT and NIPDB a new milestone in our relations between EU and Namibia. Let me take a little step back. You said almost everything, Executive ED, so let me zoom into one or the other aspect of our relations, and looking back at 4 years ago when late President Geingob signed a strategic partnership with the EU together with the Commissioner of the President of the European Commission, Mrs. van der Leyen. So this is a strategic partnership that was established on green hydrogen and critical raw material value chains that has fundamentally transformed our relations by increasing the level of economic engagement that we have seen since then. The next step to establishing the strategic partnership was to agree on a roadmap the year later. And in fact, Her Excellency President Daitwa visited at the time as Foreign Minister Brussels in 23 to endorse together with late President the roadmap. The roadmap for the strategic partnership. We'll be talking about that at the Business Forum. And the roadmap essentially is a concrete blueprint of how we want to fill the strategic partnership with substance and actions and investments. This roadmap was in fact announced at the first EU-Namibia Business Forum. It was already a success at that time. We had 200 participants physically taking part and over 2,000 streamed on the session. We hope to reach an even bigger participation in person. And we had 21 countries and over 130 companies attending. So this was the first step. We hope to go beyond that in the second business forum in May. Since then, since 22, we've really worked tirelessly as partners between EU and Namibia, the officials as well as the private sector, to foster investor confidence, to raise visibility of Namibia's investment opportunities, and to create momentum for renewable hydrogen, renewable energy, the green industrialization, which is now enshrined in the NDP 6. to also work on sustainable raw material value chains while backing these two sectors with resources and political will, and trigger the domino effect of networking relationships and private sector partnerships. So, from our side, we have been able, as Team Europe, so as Europe together with member states, to mobilize grants and loans in the order of 1.2 billion euros for this commitment, and there are around 20 billion euros in the pipeline from the private sector to be invested as these new industrial sectors are evolving. So this is a partnership that we have. The investments on our side are taking place under the hat of the European Global Gateway. And through targeted investments, we also contribute to Walvis Bay and Lüderitz being transformed into logistics hubs, as you were rightly highlighting. So the Business Forum in May will be a step forward in this, and we are delighted that the Vice President, Her Excellency Witbooi, will open the event together with our Commissioner Roswal for Environment and Water and Economic Issues, Circular Economy. So we not only live up to our promise from 23 to hold the second edition of the Namibia EU Business Forum. Moreover, we show that EU and Namibia are walking a path towards green industrialization and critical raw material value chains together as partners. And Namibia can count on the European Union to support the land of the brave in fostering European growth, inclusiveness and resilience for sustainable development, as outlined also in the 6th National Development Plan. As the European Union, we are convinced that our political willingness, combined with European investments, will positively contribute to diversifying the Namibian economy and beneficiate natural resources development in the country and to empower the youth. It was you already anticipated the sectors that we will be covering in the Business Forum. We are delighted to have the presence of our Commissioner attending the Business Forum, which will have a broader scope than the first one. A Commissioner for Roswal for Environment, Water, Resilience and Competitive Circular Economy has been championing the EU single market for waste, sustainable products, and our European zero pollution. The presence of our Commissioner for Environment demonstrates once again the highest possible level of political will to strengthen this partnership going forward. The two sectors at the heart of the EU-Namibia partnership, namely renewable energy as well as sustainable raw material value chains, will feature prominently at the EU Business Forum. And as was already mentioned, we decided to broaden the scope of the second Business Forum to include the agriculture sector, car manufacturing and creative industries, in order to reflect also the priorities, strong priorities of the government, NDP 6, as well as these sectors being ones that have a potential of generating jobs. And that's really what this partnership between EU and Namibia is about, is generating quality jobs in a diversified and resilient economy. So I want, there are benefits, opportunities in these sectors, in the agribusiness and the automotive parts as well, where we see a strong potential for green industrialization as well, so links between the automotive sector and the partnership on green industrialization. And of course, cultural and creative sectors with an angle on cinematography. We all know the legacy of Mad Max 10,000 BC and the Flight of Phoenix, which made the sceneries of Namibia are worldwide known, and that's also one of the objectives of the Business Forum, to promote and project the opportunities of Namibia in the creative industries sector. Going a step further on our, this must be also seen in the context of our engagement with Namibia generally on trade, the EU being Namibia's biggest export market and most diverse market. So by attracting European investors to these 5 sectors, we hope to further boost trade relations and investment opportunities here in Namibia. We invite the private companies, investors, financing institutions, both from the European Union and Namibia, to join us on the 11th to 13th of May in the Windhoek Country Club. There will be a mix of master classes, high-level plenaries, thematic discussions, and investment opportunity presentations, indeed, which will give a very hands-on and very B2B feature to this event. So don't miss the opportunity. Register for our business forum to connect and exchange and seek new opportunities in partnership in trading and creating quality jobs in Namibia that also strengthen the partnership between EU and Namibia. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency, for that timely update. We really appreciate the information that was given here today. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this next segment is deliberately set aside for the members of the media here present that may have questions for both my guests, Her Excellency and the Acting Executive Director in the Ministry of International Relations and Trade, Mr. Aser Nashikaku, to step forward to the podium here where I'm standing right now and post your questions. Start by introducing yourself as well as the media house that you represent, and then briefly put your questions. Right, I see there is an indication there. Please come forward.
Good morning. Thank you very much for the opportunity. My name is Ogito Craig. I write for Republican newspaper and the NMH group of media companies here in Windhoek. It includes Namibian Sun newspaper, Algemeine Zeitung, as well as NTV on DSTV, and various social media platforms. My first questions are to the acting ED of the Ministry of International Relations and Trade, specifically regarding what was mentioned, rules of origin. Namibia being a country with a small population and therefore a small market, one of the attractive points that we raise is access to the larger SADC market. But with the example of the now defunct Peugeot plant outside of Walvis Bay, we see that rules of origin prevent assembling automotive vehicles in Namibia from export into the rest of SADC. I wanted to know whether the ministry has addressed that bottleneck yet, and whether the Namibian government has addressed Peugeot, which threatened last year to sue us because that plant is still standing idle. Secondly, in your speech, I heard no mention of small and medium enterprises. Are SMEs not welcome at this important event where you said high-level people will be repeatedly? Thank you very much. Then, for the ambassador from the EU, I'd like to find out about the EU stance in terms of tariffs and travel, specifically in the context of the two polarized positions we now see from America and from China. America has imposed lots of tariffs and travel restrictions for Namibians. Obviously, if we can't go there, it's difficult to trade. Whereas China has removed tariffs from African countries. I want you to explain to us what position the EU will take in terms of tariffs and travels of Namibians to the EU. And secondly, I'd like you to give us some examples 4 years after the initial conference of value addition to local raw and critical materials. How has EU helped us here in Namibia to establish the infrastructure to add value to our critical minerals before we export it to Europe? Thank you very much.
All right, Mr. Nashikaku, Your Excellency, I believe you have captured the questions. We of course start then with you, Mr. Nashikaku. The first question is talking about assembling automotive parts for export. And then the second one is small, medium enterprises not included. Please go ahead and address those two.
No, thank you very much, really, for the questions. When it comes to the rules of origin in the region, we really aspire to negotiate what we call a flexible rules of origin that allows really products to be originating from the region, in this case in particular for Namibia. When we are talking about regional value chains, really what we want to do, we want to make use of the African resources, Namibian resources, African resources, so that we are able then to add maximum value, particularly to automotive that you are actually talking about. Now, what is actually happening in terms of the PGU, I think you are indeed correct. That's the situation. We are trying to see how best we can utilize this particular plant, and we're also trying to see how best we should be able then to have resources, the accessories and parts. Whenever we are going to do investment in the automotive, we want to have at least much more value addition from Namibia in the region for us to be able then to say we have then achieved originating status. In terms of the SMEs, we have an online platform that then allows, we have an online platform that allows each and every businesses, including the SMEs, to register. So the SMEs are not actually excluded. They can fully participate. The platform is open. It has been highlighted that this particular platform is for everybody, including bigger businesses and also the SMEs as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Nashikaku, for addressing those two questions. Mr. Ogeto, I believe your questions have been answered. I hope you are satisfied.
And the court case? Issues of the court case is maybe something that I'm not going to address now.
All right.
It's something that will be addressed by the relevant institutions that are dealing with for now.
Thank you, sir. Yes, Your Excellency, it is now the floor is now yours to address the polarized tariffs as well as travel situations that are happening, and then the second question is on value addition and how the EU has assisted Namibia as a country. Right, the floor is yours.
Yes, well, maybe just a comment on SMEs, because the image on investments and green hydrogen companies, maybe the image is that they're big companies that do not take account of SMEs, but I think a very telling experience is one of High Iron, which was launched last year, I believe, which in the course of its establishment has led to the creation of 60 local SMEs that contributed to the construction and the running of the company. So, the green hydrogen sector or green industrialization sector alone is expected to create 30,000 jobs. This is also reflected in the NDP6, and SMEs will certainly play a role in creating these jobs. So when one talks about this sector, I think big companies and small companies will go together. On the question on tariffs, I'm glad you posed that question. I would have hoped that there was a better knowledge about our tariff regime, the EU's tariff regime here in Namibia, and SADC. In fact, this year we're celebrating 10 years of zero tariffs and zero quotas for SADC countries. So Namibia has been benefiting for 10 years, zero tariffs and quotas in accessing 27 markets, so a consumer market and 470 million in Europe. That's also why we are Namibia's biggest trading partner, because we have the economic partnership agreement in place that Namibia has so successfully been able to draw on, to tap on by having, I think, 97% of products that are exported to Europe are covered by this EPA. In terms of travel, so visa regime, the visa regime remains the same. There's a Schengen visa regime. It's rigid indeed, but once you have the visa, you can access 32 countries in Europe. So that it has its benefits, but indeed we have rules like Namibia does in controlling who gets into the country, and criteria for who can get into the country. But obviously we are aware that standards are quite high. This being said, one visa gives you access to 32 countries in Europe. On the value addition, well, Ogeto is, you're actually touching one of the results, one of the announcements that we will be making at the Business Forum. But this being said, let me just say that we've been working very hard, in particular with colleagues from the Ministry of Mines and Energy, as well as private sector, to identify partners here in Namibia that work in the mine sector, in particular in critical raw material sector, and working with them in order to find ways to increase the value addition locally, in increasing the concentration of the processing, increasing the concentration of the critical raw materials being processed. So bear with us until the 13th or 12th of May, where we will be making some interesting announcement on that. But that has definitely been the focus of our work here over the last 3 years, to increase the value addition in Namibia and to build a value chain together with European companies.
Thank you so much, Your Excellency, for addressing those. Okay, I see we have another, please come through. All right, yes. Start by introducing yourself and the media house you represent.
Good morning, everyone. My question is directed to the ambassador herself, and I'm Hertai Kanjo with that is One Africa Television. Ambassador, can you just tell us, speak on the progress that has been made since that is the inaugural business forum that was held in 2023 in Brussels and now, especially on strategic partnerships between the EU and Namibia. And one of the difficult questions that we receive that is focused on that many Namibians are of the view that the green hydrogen sector is not a sector recognized by the government, especially after, the State of Nation address where the president only mentioned oil and gas. What actually keeps the EU, motivated to keep supporting this green hydrogen sector?
Thank you, Herta, for the question. Your Excellency, Ambassador, I believe you have captured that question well. Please.
Well, thank you for that question. We from the European side, we remained reliable partners on this journey that we decided to go together in 22, and with the roadmap that was established in 23 of how to concretely put this political commitment into tangible results for the Namibian and the EU economy. We have seen progress that is thanks to the efforts of the Namibian government and us taking the journey together. I think that the fact that the green industrialization sector is mentioned as one of the priorities of the government and the development plan. National Development Plan is also an expression of the importance that the government attaches. Of course, the oil sector is far bigger than the green industrialization or green energy, but one sector does not need to exclude the other, not least because in some of the common user infrastructure, ports, for instance, will be used both by the green energy sector as well as a lot more the oil. So these can be complementary sectors. Investments in green energy are not at the scale of oil, so it's understandable that the government puts an emphasis on oil because it's a huge new technology and huge investments that will come along. We are committed. I think the government shares that commitment as well. And as I anticipated, we'll have some interesting announcements to make next month on the progress that has been made and some very concrete steps that we will be taking together with Namibian and European companies starting from 12th May going forward. And I sincerely believe that Namibia has huge opportunities in the green energy sector. The fact that European companies and Namibian companies and others are investing heavily in this sector, in my view, is an expression that the opportunities are real.
Thank you, Your Excellency, for addressing that. Herta, I believe your question was well addressed.
Yes, the first one on the progress made.
The first one on the progress made. I believe she mentioned that that was going to be announced at the oncoming conference in May. I speak under correction. Is that the case?
We have made a lot of progress. So the Green Hydrogen Program, for instance, has worked on policy matters, on regulatory framework. So that's been worked on over the last 2-3 years. There's a number of companies that have been established, High Iron being obviously the most advanced, that is already producing green iron and exporting, and many automotive producers are looking at the example of Namibia with High Iron. So there are already very concrete steps that have been made. Partnerships between Namport and the Port of Antwerp, for instance, that have finalized a master plan on how to expand the capacity and how to turn Walvis Bay into a hub for the region. So there are a number of steps that have been taken. We'll be talking about that in the masterclass, in the sector-specific sessions, and we will have a number of announcements to make on new progress that has been made, and that will be formalized with signatures of contracts.
Fair enough. Thank you, Ambassador, for addressing that question. Do we have any more members of the media? Please step forward closer to the podium.
Thank you very much. Good morning. My name is David Shombe from Eagle Media House, and I have a question to Acting ED on investment and also a partnership between Namibian businesses and also EU businesses, even at the other international partners, to say, do we have a standard threshold, especially when it comes to partnering? Because we have been seeing public complaining about either the state or Namibian businesses owning little shares in natural resources in Namibia. And the other aspect is also regarding the progress, particularly between Namibian businesses and also EU businesses. What progress have been done, particularly in terms of uplifting Namibian private sector to compete internationally? And the other question is also on the energy sector. Namibia has been, depends for its economic survival, depends on South Africa and also other partners, particularly in terms of electricity. and we are very happy that the issue of green hydrogen is brought about. Is nuclear energy, particularly for good use, going to be part of that discussion? And lastly, to Ambassador, is regarding value addition. The President of Namibia has been speaking strongly regarding stopping a consumer economy. Are there any statistics on the progress that EU assisted Namibia, particularly when it comes to value addition? We may also want to touch on agriculture sector to say, are there any, records that are indicating that at this point we are assisting Namibia to move to at least finishing products so that we can sell like any other big boys in the international market? Thank you very much.
Thank you, David. I believe, Mr. Nashikako, you've captured the first two questions. The first one on investment and partnership and uplifting private sector as well as nuclear energy. And then for the ambassador, value addition, particularly in the agriculture industry. If it is well captured, Mr. Nashikako, you can go ahead and address the two questions.
Yeah, thank you very much. I mean, in terms of the partnership, particularly is it related to threshold, we encourage really all the business fraternity out there, all the business people, including SMEs and big companies, to go and have joint ventures with the external partners as well. So there is no threshold, and in terms also threshold in terms of national resources, there is no threshold at all. Each and everybody is actually invited to partner with the external partners as well. Then we have the question of really energy. I think when it comes to energy, it's one of the enablers. And what is very, very much important, I think, the priority now should be geared to energy production so that we are able to be competitive. We should be able to bring it down. Now, the question of nuclear energy is quite important. It's one of it, quite important. And I think Namibia is actually ready to be able to find partners or countries so that we are able to develop nuclear energies for friendly use, obviously. And that's quite important. Now, in order for you to be competitive, really, you should be able, there are two enablers, which is water and energy and power. And I'm really happy to announce that I've really observed that NamPower is having a lot of projects that they are actually developing to ensure that at least we become energy dependent over time. So with nuclear energy and other hydrogen projects or clean energy that we are actually developing, I'm sure that over time Namibia is able then to become much more nuclear dependent, energy dependent. Okay, those are some of the issues that in terms of really uplifting of businesses, what we've been doing over time, obviously, as far as we are concerned, in fact, the ministry even last year went really through all the regions to ensure that they are actually to ensure that the minister have already received some of the concerns, and the ministry is currently trying to develop a mechanism that will then be able then to uplift businesses. So the concerns from the SMEs have been taken on board, and then a strategies and mechanisms being developed to be able then to assist SMEs with collaboration, obviously, with the Ministry of Industries, Mines and Energy. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Nashikako. Ambassador, it's over to you.
Thank you. Let me also say a word on enablers and a reference I should have made earlier. One of our focus already now and in the future as well would be on vocational education training, where we are partnering with a national training agency, but also with universities, institutes like NIMT and so forth. We just inaugurated a vocational training program in Arandis last year. So these are also ways to enable industries to develop, especially the emerging industries, but also traditional industries by bringing vocation training expertise to different parts of the country. With regard to the agricultural sector, again, I think Namibia has been very, very, very successful in tapping on the opportunities from the Economic Partnership Agreement, so the tariff-free treaty that we have for 10 years, and in fact has been developing high-value agriculture products like Wagyu beef, which is prime beef, but also prime agriculture products like blueberries. These are products that have been developed by Namibia over the last 3-4 years, some also with European companies, with European initiatives. So there are some success stories there. Of course, Namibia is a success story in the fishing sector. It's one of the biggest export products to Europe. But the reason why we have included the agricultural sector in the Business Forum now is really to see if there's more we can do with to explore the potential of more high-end, upmarket and high-technology agriculture products, and indeed manufactured products. So that's really the objective, to bring our economic relations with Namibia to a higher level at all the sectors and enhance the diversification that we're already seeing of our trade relations.
All right. Thank you, Your Excellency. Do we have any more questions from members of the media? Please step closer to the podium.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Kambwada from Notebook Media. I have 2 questions. The first question goes to Mr. Edie. You highlighted that cultural and creative industry is one of the 5 strategic plans. So what specific programs or partnership will be in place to ensure this sector creates sustainable jobs rather than just short-term opportunities? And how will you ensure this reaches someone who is deep down in Oshinene, deep down in Okavango or Katimamulilo? The second question goes to Your Excellency. You mentioned that SME will be excluded from the forum, yet SMEs are seen as the key drivers of job creation in Namibia. How does this decision align with the efforts to reduce high unemployment and alternative pathways? And what alternative pathways will ensure small businesses will still benefit from the partnership? Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Kambwada, for those 2 questions. The first one going to you, Mr. Nashikaku, cultural and creative industries and inclusion. And then the second one to the Ambassador, Your Excellency, SME's exclusion from the conference. Please go ahead and address those questions.
Yeah, thank you very much. Again, I think during my presentation or my remark, I actually even mentioned that cultural and creative industry is quite important. It's one of the industries that is also going to be discussed during the upcoming business forum. Quite important, and that everybody is also invited on that one. The Namibia Investment Promotion and Development Board, really, it's here. And one of their mandate is really to ensure that cultural and creative industry is actually being developed, and that everybody is actually included and participate across the regions. And I really wanted to probably invite my colleagues as well, just to give a bit of information about where we are in terms of the creative industry and the progress that we have, if possible.
Right. By colleague, you mean someone from the NIPDB, Mr. Nashikaku?
Yes, probably I'm inviting one of my colleagues just to provide more information if necessary.
Is anybody ready to provide this clarity? Or shall we do research and maybe in due course provide that information when it is readily available? All right, thank you. Thank you so much. Kambado, I do believe your question was addressed, and once we have the information, especially on the cultural and creative industries inclusion, once we have that information ready, it will be shared with you. We may need to get your contact so that we can provide you with that information when the information is availed. All right, so we move over to the second question. Your Excellency, it is a question on SMEs exclusion from the conference. Please go ahead and give us your insight.
Thank you. Let me clarify that SMEs are not excluded out of the business forum. In fact, all companies, irrespective of their size, are invited and are targeted by the business forum in the 5 sectors that we have discussed. We would expect that, in particular in the agriculture sector and in the creative industry sector, there will be more responsiveness from small and medium-sized enterprises, but possibly also from others. As we are putting a very strong focus in this event on B2B and to give a platform to businesses to present their business ideas, in fact, we are going to have various pitching sessions per sector where companies, small, medium, large, will have the opportunity to pitch their business ideas. Some will be invited even to present their business idea at the business forum, and the others will have the opportunity to present their business plan on the website of the business forum. So please also consult the website. It's still under construction, so we're still building up a lot of information, but by the day of the business forum, we'll have a lot of information, including on companies that are looking for partners, investment partners or implementing partners from the European and Namibian side. And we hope to attract companies of all sizes because obviously knowing well, and this does not apply only for Namibia, that small and medium businesses are very often the backbone of the economy and are the biggest also vehicles to create jobs. This is the case in many countries in Europe and is also the case in Namibia. And the ultimate objective of this business forum is to create good jobs for young Namibians, and therefore also we want to attract companies from all sizes.
Thank you, Your Excellency, for addressing that. I do believe you are satisfied with your question. The SMEs and MSMEs are part and parcel of this business forum, and it is the hope of the organizers to attract public enterprises in all shapes and sizes, right, to come and be part of this very important business forum. Well, do we have any more questions from members of the media? Going once, twice? All right, and now thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. As we round up our media briefing for this morning, allow me to extend my sincerest, profound gratitude to both Mr. Aser Nashikaku, Acting Executive Director in the Ministry of International Relations and Trade, as well as Her Excellency, Ambassador, EU's Ambassador to Namibia, Anna Beatrice Martens. We really appreciate you for taking time to engage with us today, this morning, and for providing such insightful and timely update. It is really very highly appreciated. Your presence and contributions are deeply valued, and they continue to strengthen the spirit of transparency and cooperation, as well as mutual understanding between Namibia and the European Union. To our members of the media, thank you so much for your continued commitment to inform the nation, for your active participation, and providing information or disseminating information that is really timely, accurate, and to the point. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. This concludes our media briefing for this morning. For my viewers and listeners online, thank you so much. We will be having a group photo in the foyer when we leave the venue here. Please do not despair. Thank you so much.